Hi, Henry.
How you doing?
Good to have you. It's an honor and it's a privilege to have Henry Wasserman here with us. Many of you folks out there probably heard me talk about Henry. I was privileged to be at his centennial birthday on July 4th, and it was absolutely phenomenal. It was one of the perhaps the greatest experience of my life, being at the birthday experience of my life. It was wonderful, and this gentleman right here, he was so exceptional, and the way that he was holding his posture, the way he was communicating, he blew me away. And I guess everybody else, at the party. So everybody was like gathered around him, asking him questions. I asked him a lot of different questions, but most of my questions were directed to Henry about real estate, because I wanted him to know, I wanted him to tell me what he thought of it. The first thing that I asked him, and Henry and I joke a lot, you tell me that I've got a good sense of humor, and Henry tells me that the best thing in life is to have a sense of humor, if you want to live a long life. But I asked Henry, would you like to buy some real estate? He looked at me and says, no, Sam, but would I be able to buy another 5 or 10 years? Remember you said that to me? And that's great. I mean, that really touched me, because this gentleman right here, Henry Wasserman, he told me he's still got a lot of dreams, he's still a lot of aspirations, a lot of goals in his life that he wants to accomplish. So that's what keeps him alive. That's why he wants to live as long as he can. And that's why life is so precious. So that's why I have you over here, because I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your life and your real estate experiences in particular.
Well, there's nothing out of the ordinary about my life. It's one day at a time. But if you want to talk about real estate, I would suggest to anyone, when the proper time may be, I don't know. But I know that every young person who's starting out in life can't figure out what the future is going to be, but real estate is something that does not deteriorate like life as a circumstance. They're forever. So I would suggest start small and work up slowly as a family grows.
That's awesome.
That's been my contention.
That's great.
And go through it. And that's life.
Well, among your other abilities, you're also a good mind reader, because you're already taking the questions out of my head and answering them, which is really, really great, okay?
Oh, I've already read the sheet, so I know all the questions.
Don't worry about that. Hey, Henry, tell me this. When were you born exactly, and where and when?
I was born in Beantown, otherwise known as Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, yes.
And the day I was born was declared a national holiday, the 4th of July.
There you go. 4th of July, 1912.
1912.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
1912, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it a couple of years before the World War I? I think it was 1914. It was like
1917, and I remember it particularly well.
Oh, wow.
That time, yeah.
Wow, and you were a small child back then, maybe a few years old, but you do remember a little.
I remember I had two uncles who were serving in it, and
I see.
I have certain memories of it.
That's amazing. Just to put things in perspective a little bit, do you remember what a loaf of bread cost back then in 1912 or thereabout?
I don't know if a loaf of bread costs any more than 12 cents, 15 cents.
Something like maybe.
I don't remember. But I tell you one thing I do remember,
yes,
that I'm an expert at.
Yes.
And people have asked my advice.
Yes, sir.
What was donuts selling for? 2 cents a piece.
How much?
2 cents.
2 cents a piece for a donut. Now you're talking about the donut, the glazed donut, or the sugary kinds, or which one?
All kind of donuts.
All kinds of donuts.
Jelly donuts, Krellas, and all those. As a matter of fact, I got a reputation in Reno. I get my donuts free now.
Is that right? Well, that's cool, man. So 2 cents. Would you say that the secret to you living 100 years was eating a lot of donuts?
Well,
you wouldn't go that far, huh?
I could go that far. When the postage stamp is 1 penny delivered,
oh boy,
three stories high every single day, things were inexpensive.
Jeez.
So,
that is amazing. Actually, I looked up the cost of the loaf of bread in 1912. It was like between 5 cents to 10 cents, as you
It
said.
could be.
And the gallon of gas was like 12 cents a gallon. And just put things in perspective, you know, a little bit. But what I'm really curious about, okay, because we're a real estate club and people in real estate are always kind of like, some people have the tendency to put things off, to procrastinate, not to buy now, wait, you know, it'll be later. I wanted to ask you, what was your first real estate deal? Do you remember the first deal, the first property that you bought?
Yes, right after World War II. I bought a duplex.
Right after World War II, which was 1945, 1946?
This was in July. Well, actually, it was the end of the war in Europe.
I see.
And the war was continuing in the Pacific against Japan.
Right.
I bought a duplex. It was built in 1937.
Where was that, the duplex?
This was in West Los Angeles.
West LA. So that's when you had actually moved from Boston to Los Angeles after.
Well, from Boston to Los Angeles was 1936.
I see.
And there were rentals. We were going from one rent to another.
Right.
When the opportunity arose, I was already in my own business. The first home we bought was a beautiful duplex, about 1,600 square feet with unit heat, large rooms, 14,500.
In West Los Angeles?
In West Los Angeles, and near La Cienega.
Right, near La Cienega.
And Pico area.
Yes, very nice area.
Very nice area at that particular time.
It's still not a bad area right now.
It's a good area.
Yes.
Still was down.
So you bought it for 14,000?
14,500.
500. A duplex.
A duplex.
I see.
Beautiful duplex. And we lived in it for 10 years.
You occupied one of the units?
Absolutely.
And you rented the other one?
Yes, we rented to my physician, doctor from back in Boston.
Wow. So your doctor's daughter rented the property. How much, do you remember how much you rented that for?
Yeah, we got a lot of money for it. We got $52.50.
$52.50 for
Don't forget the 50 cents.
Yeah, of course, because a lot of money back then. Remember, you could have
Absolutely.
You could have had dinner. You could have had dinner with 50 cents.
When the office price went down, gave us an opportunity, we got a tremendous increase from $52.50 to $55.
Wow! So
now
for $2.50.
Yeah,
increase in rent. That is great.
Fantastic.
That is great. So, but let me ask you a question. Is that duplex still there? Have you gone by it?
Absolutely.
It's still there?
Built 1937.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's about 75, 76 years.
Yeah, if you have that address, I'd like to check it out later and I want to go buy it and see how much it's worth today.
52, 51, and 52, 53. It's a duplex.
Yes.
It's the second from the corner. I wish I could tell you what the side street was.
No problem.
Yeah, that's 52, 51. And it's still in beautiful condition.
Still in beautiful condition.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
This is great. And this is the time that you were actually married and you lived in
Oh, yes. I was married. I got married in 1941.
1941, and your wife recently passed.
To the most beautiful.
To the most beautiful woman, yes, yes.
See, in this particular case,
yes,
my good friend Lisa,
yes,
she has to take second place.
Oh, that's very nice. That's very nice.
Strong second.
That's very nice. I got that. That's very nice of you. Yeah, she's a beautiful lady, and she'll be very happy. I'm sure she's hearing this, and she's very happy about your comment.
That was the smartest move I made.
Marrying your wife.
I married my wife and buying that duplex.
Wow, buying the duplex. So which one first? Marrying your wife or buying the duplex? Of course we know the answer. Of course we know the answer.
Oh,
yeah, we know the answer.
Obviously, you know the.
Yeah, of course you do. So let me move on to that. So because you and I talked about this a little bit, I spoke with him at the party, at his centennial party. After that, you said you went ahead and bought a piece of land somewhere. Tell me about that.
What we did is after 10 years, we kept it 10 years and sold it for good profit, $24,500 after 10 years living and rental.
You were talking about the duplex.
The duplex.
So you bought it for 14.5, sold it for 24.5.
That's right, the duplex. And then we rented, and we had a year lease, and we decided after 6 months this was not for us. Living in someone else's apartment is not for us.
I see.
So we went around driving. And I remember as a single man in the 30s, I loved to go up to the hills, up Coldwater Canyon.
Yes.
And that's just what we did. We went up there, we bought a piece of land for $9,500. We got an architect. We did everything fast. We got an architect. He drew up the plans. My wife and I gave up the contract. And I believe the contract for building a beautiful house was approximately $30,000, something like that, about 2,000 square feet of the most gorgeous house.
Right, right.
Concrete driveways. In those days, all driveways was asphalt.
Yes.
And you brought your car straight in the garage, and you came out, you're back into the traffic. We made a U-turn, we pushed the house further back.
Wow.
We made some things like that. I think we had eventually about $50,000 in the house.
So it cost you total of the land and the improvements about $50,000.
$50,000.
And it was very great idea. You said you did one of those sort of like a circular driveway, so you don't have to back.
Circular drive.
That's awesome. And that was on top of the Coldwater Canyon.
Yeah, and they were about a mile and a half, a mile and a half south. South of Mulholland Drive.
Got it. I know exactly where it is. Yeah.
And they were just about in that area. It was built.
Did you have views of the valley? Did you have a?
Well, I was sitting down, just a view, not over the top, because all the houses were on the flat level, and the homes weren't pushed up into the mountains.
I see.
There was nothing back there.
I see. I see.
And we lived there for 28 and a half years.
Okay, so when did you buy that property now? 19?
In 19, we bought between Christmas and New Year's in 1956.
1956.
And cleared this escrow, the first, I think it was a very short, very short escrow, because we had the cash.
Yes.
We put it right in there. And we had 28 most wonderful years, 28 and a half years.
In that
house. There and sold no less than $300,000.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. So property, amazing, $50,000. The land cost you $8,000. The entire thing was done for about $50,000. Now, how big was the land?
Oh, the land was 80. Land was 80 by 150.
Okay, that's like 12,000 square feet.
Yeah, but of course you had a hill.
Exactly, you had a little bit of upslope behind the back.
But that's why we pushed the house further back.
Yes.
We weren't going to live in the yard.
Yes.
So we put all the wonderful items you want to put in the house. We had the room in front.
That is great.
We still had the opportunity. We had 2 cars, so we were able to drive the cars in straight, or whichever way it came in, to go out, access to the avenue, and not worry about traffic.
That's amazing. So for you said 28 years you lived in that house?
28 and a half years.
Wow. And he remembers this amazing is, you remember every date, so clearly. That's just incredible. So 56 to 28 years later, was it 1964 then when you sold the house?
1985.
56, 76, 86, you're that 85, yeah. See, his math is better than mine, my goodness. I gotta come and take some lessons from you. So in the mid-80s, you sold this house for $300,000?
Yeah.
Did you not tell me that you thought that you sold it for cheap? That you could have gotten more? Something to that effect?
If I had my magic wand, I could look ahead, that would be fine. But we don't live a life by trying to figure out what it's going to be. You live it day by day, because that day may not come. So if there's an opportunity that arises for real estate, whatever it is, and you want to live, now's the time, because that time may not come to you.
Yeah, well taken. Well said. Thank you. That's great advice. So then you sold your house for $300,000, right?
Right.
So that was obviously a great deal. You only were into it with 50,000. It was probably paid for by the time you got your money.
Yeah.
So when you got your money in the mid 80s, what did you do with that? Did you put it back in real estate?
Well, for a while we just didn't know exactly what we wanted to do. We're getting a little older. It was 1985. I was always 73 years of age, so it wasn't a youngster. I didn't know what we were doing, because we did a lot of travel all over Europe and on the Orient side. Anyways, we took an apartment, a very nice apartment in Westwood, right off of Wilshire Boulevard, behind where the federal building is.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to hit golf balls there for years and years and years when there was nothing in that area.
You remember those days? There was nothing
absolutely.
back then.
I was just a kid.
Yeah.
73 years of age.
And now it's one of the most congested areas here.
Yeah.
Let me go to this thing. You obviously have experience in real estate. You said in the beginning you highly recommend real estate as a great vehicle for young people to invest in. Have you had any negative experiences yourself with real estate? Did you lose money in it? Did you do something? Or was your experiences mostly positive?
Never lost a penny.
Never lost a penny in real estate. So
made a penny, but never lost.
Yeah. So I mean, based on your particular experiences, I mean, you obviously encourage young people to get in to buy real estate. Do you also recommend that people should buy and hold, or buy and sell? What would have happened if you, for example, kept the house in Beverly Hills and just rented it?
I would hold it rather than rent it myself personally. I'm going to live in it. And if I don't want to live in that house or that area, I would sell.
I see.
And buy another house. What I cannot tell you is how long you're going to live. How long do you want to be in that house? I mean, conditions vary. A young man, he's got a future in front of him, he's got a family to raise. He needs a home. And what better place than buy your own? You don't have to have some landlord saying, cut that noise down.
That's right. That's right. Very true. By the way, the Beverly Hills property or the Coldwater Canyon, you said you sold it for $300,000. Did you tell me
$300,000?
Didn't you tell me it sold for some crazy amount lately?
Well, it went up later. It was posted in the Times on the Sunday, and my daughter called me and said, "Dad, the house in Coldwater Canyon is listed." I said, "Oh, how much is it listed for?" $1,850,000.
Amazing.
A week later, 1 week later on Sunday, she called me up, "Dad, the Coldwater Avenue house sold."
For
1 week.
In 1 week? How long ago was this, Henry?
Oh my God, now.
From mid-80s to...
Well, I sold it 1985 to a couple, and they stood there for a while, and they must have sold it. I have no idea.
When did your daughter call you to tell you that the property...
I think it was before, I know it was before 8. I think it was maybe around 2002.
2002, I got it.
Before the peak.
Exactly, before, as the market was moving up.
Peak, I know, went up to 2008.
And then crash, of course.
And they crashed.
Yeah, so what you're saying is 1985 to around 2005, in about 20 years later, from $300,000 to $1.8 million.
Yeah.
Wow. So for those of you who are still waiting, to buy real estate, I'm glad you're not lamenting, but you know, a whole bunch of people that never buy property, they should have, they could have, but they just put it off. And ultimately, when prices go up, they just say, well, it's too high, I don't want to buy it. Well, that's what we want our people, the people to come to my real estate club. By the way, you're invited to my real estate club anytime. If Robbie comes over there, I want you to be there. You know, we would love to have you and give you the proper. How should I say? I'm honoring you for for what you bring for us, because your experiences have been extremely, for me, they've been extremely valuable. Anything that you say to me, I kind of keep it in my mind as like a golden rule kind of thing, because it's not often that you meet people like you that have this incredible amount of knowledge and wisdom and are able to communicate it so eloquently. That's really the key.
Well, thank you.
Kindly. So I don't want to take a whole bunch of your time, but it's been really, really pleasure to have you. You've been a good sport to come over here. Thank you so much, Lisa, for doing that. Robbie, we really appreciate that. And
all right, it's been my pleasure.
My pleasure as well. And hopefully we see you soon again. I want to be on your birthday when you celebrate 101st birthday. Okay, all right.
I would like to be around too.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thanks, folks.